Good evening. We are here. Here, I'm going to get my camera set up because this is professional. We are here with the week one highlights of our opening week in fantasy football. First game was the closest game. It was Team Chewy, controlled by Jeremy Prater, against the amazingly effective and awesome Teg Browns. And that team is controlled by the one and only Dustin Ragland. No relation to me. This game came down to the wire, with the Browns coming out on top 134.8 to 121.9. Jeremy, good try. The Browns won by 12.9 points. Believe it or not, that was the closest game from week one. The next game on my list was the Steel City 52, controlled by Matthew Todd-Hunter, versus the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, which I have serious issues with naming a fantasy football team after a baseball team. But David Hopper, that's exactly what you did. David Hopper, you lost 136.1 to 101. That's a 35-point whooping, and you, my friend, are a loser. Good job, Steel City 52, even though you are likely a Steeler fan and you suck. The next game on our list is Team Elkhart, controlled by Skip from Kirk, versus Team Jackson, controlled by John Jackson from One World Logistics. That score, this was an ass whooping of epic proportions. Team Jackson had 138.2 points. The Team Elkhart's 79.5, a 59.7 point victory. I mean, absolutely ridiculously bad and lopsided. This was almost abuse. The next game on my list is actually the worst case of abuse I've ever seen in my life when it comes to fantasy football. The K-Town Vikings, controlled by Wayne Khmer Sr. from Kirk National Leagues, versus the Ohio Irish, playing against a guy who does not even know what a football is, William Gillane. And William won with a record high score this week of 168.7 points to Wayne's 104.6. That is a 64.1 point ass whooping. I mean, Wayne, I am aware this is your first time ever playing fantasy football, and with a score like that, this isn't fantasy, this is your nightmare. Wow, that's ugly. And the last game of the week that I'm going to have here is my coworker, the Washington Cowboy Killers, which you didn't kill much, because the Millennial Distress Team, controlled by Darren Phillips, beat you by 22.2 points, 120.4 to 98.2. Pretty big ass whooping. Congratulations, Darren, Jason. It is official. You are a loser. Now we're going to give the top 10 teams, which we only have 10 teams. So as far as scoring in week one, what are our top teams? And number one, believe it or not, is the Ohio Irish with 168.7 points. Coming in at number two, surprisingly, was Team Jackson at 138.2 points. Quite shocking that you're that good, Mr. Jackson. Obviously, it was beginner's luck. Number three ranked team would be the Steel City 52 team at 136.1 points. Congratulations. Number four is according to Vegas, the odds-on favorite to win the championship, the TEG Browns at 134.8 points. Number five is Team Chewy, 121.9. The sixth ranked team is the Millennial Distress Team at 120.4. Number 7 is the K-Town Vikings at 104.6 points. But no, Wayne, you're not the worst. That would go to, well, we're not there yet. Number 8, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, which you should lose 10 points for naming yourself after a baseball team. Again, that really annoys me. 101 points even. Number 9 ranked team, which this is hilarious, the Washington Cowboy Killers. I don't know what Cowboys you're killing. 98.2 points. And the number 10 ranked team, which kind of echoes his favorite college team, which they will be ranked 10 by season's end. That would be Alabama. Skip Elkert at 79.5 points. Pretty shitty there, Skip. Week 2 matchups. Steel City versus Millennial Distress. This is going to be a pretty good game. Right now, that would be a 16-point edge compared to last week's scores for Week 2. So that should be a good matchup. I'm picking the Steel City 52s to win that game. The Jackson 5, Team Jackson versus the Tampa Bay Devil Stupid Rays. That should be easy win for Mr. Jackson, even though he sucks. I'm still picking Tampa Bay because I don't like Mr. Jackson. He's a douchebag. The third game is Skip Elkert, the worst team in the league, versus Chewy, Team Chewy, the 5th ranked team. Team Chewy, you should have this. The next game is the Washington Cowboy Killers versus the K-Town Vikings. This is what I'm going to call the Junkyard Bowl, because these are 2 of the worst teams in the league so far, and they're playing each other. So good news, one of you will be a winner next week. And then the game of the week, possibly the game of the century, the TEG Browns versus the Ohio Irish. Right now, that gives William, compared to last week's scores, a 31-point advantage over the Browns. And I know the Browns' controlling partner very well. And this is a game that not only Browns fans want to win, America wants to put this Irish man in his place. And he will go down like a cheap hooker on a $5 Tuesday. So this is the game of the week. If we had a game day crew, they would be watching this game. We do not, so no one cares until next weekend. So again, to round out week 1's updates and scores and winners and losers, there's 5 winners and there's 5 losers. The worst loser of them all is Skip. The biggest ass whooping of them all was the Ohio Irish versus the K-Town Vikings, which I'm not sure what you were Vikinging, if that's even a word, last week, but you weren't Viking for points, that's for sure. And as for this is it. I'm going to sign off, and next week we will have more updates and the scores, any transactions, and just so, again, I want to recap, the Ohio Irish, you will go down. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're Hillary, the Browns are Donald, and we know how that game ended. Good luck. See you next week.